You're tuning into Black and White Sports on YouTube. The no-holds-barred truth on sports. The main event starts now.
All right, Black and White Sports supporters, we're going to talk about the Las Vegas Raiders. More specifically, we're going to talk about the fact that Davante Adams, well, he crushed Josh McDaniels' system into the ground. I mean, crushed it. There is a couple of interesting nuggets along with the said crushing that he laid on the Josh McDaniels system into this interview, including about a potential quarterback, a free agent quarterback, one that we've talked about in the last day, oddly enough, on this channel. And there's also a couple of nuggets about what it might have been, and I've done a video on this, or a couple of videos on this, about the fact that it's pretty clear the Raiders thought they were bringing in some kind of a veteran quarterback not named Jimmy Garoppolo, and that this system is not nearly as quarterback-friendly as, say, a Kyle Shanahan system. Then we've also got a story on the fact that there's a shocking name that is joining the staff, an ex-longtime NFL head coach. And guys, you will be surprised when you see this name. He coached a team in the league for a long time. They did have some success, but he just could not take them to the next level. I've got Raiders Beat. I got CBS Sports here. Appearing on the 2 G's in a podcast. In a podcast? Okay. Davante Adams said the scheme brought to the Raiders by Josh McDaniels required an elite quarterback to, quote, nickel and dime and hit on every cylinder consistently. Look, there's one thing I do know. Josh McDaniels' system is not easy to learn. I know that New England had some wide receivers come in over time that could not learn this system. I've heard Chris Sims say that system may be the most complicated system that there is in football, which is really odd that Mac Jones ran it so well. Just throwing that out there. But that's pretty interesting that somebody like Mac ran that offense and he felt like the offense was way too dumbed down in the Matt Patricia days. So anyway, quote, we couldn't be consistent enough on offense to be a playoff level team. We definitely had the pieces. In my opinion, it's going to be a whole new year next year. The system itself made it hard enough for us to succeed. You need a Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers to go in there and have your quarterback hit on every cylinder that consistently. That offense is just a nickel and dime offense. Well, there's no doubt that New England offense is made to pick up, be able to throw the ball down to the running back, down the middle to your tight ends. I mean, Tom Brady's the greatest quarterback ever running that particular offense. I feel like based on what we have personnel-wise, we could have done it better, but the scheme itself kind of held us back. We worked with what we had, and we definitely didn't execute the best we could have at all times. Next year, with a little bit different scheme on offense, mixed with what we have personnel-wise, I think we'll be able to unlock a different version of our team. Bo Hardigree is gone. All right, that offensive staff has now been blown out of there with the Las Vegas Raiders. And so they're definitely getting a new scheme. I did a video 2 days ago, I think it was, about Cliff Kingsbury. Based on an NFL Network report, Pierce is not going to keep many offensive coaches from McDaniel's staff, and one name that has been linked to is former Cardinals head coach Cliff Kingsbury. He runs a quarterback-friendly system, guys. Interim head coach Bo Hardigree leaves Las Vegas with plenty of play-calling experience, helping this offense and its young quarterback thrive late in the season, now available. He'll get a look. My guess is another quarterback's coaching job. So, This is interesting. On a final note, it sounds like Davante Adams wouldn't be upset moving forward with Aiden O'Connell at quarterback. I think the kid can play, but I get it if they go veteran or if they find themselves somehow able to draft. I'm sorry, but if you're not getting a Michael Penix or a Bo Nix, if it's J.J. McCarthy or some, even at that, I don't know that Bo Nix and Michael Penix Jr. will be around. I know some people are worried about Penix's, injury issues, but, man, if I had a chance to draft that kid, I would grab him. He reminds me of Steve Air McNair. If anybody's old enough to know who that is, that dude was one hell of a quarterback. Assuming that doesn't happen, Davante also mentioned Kirk Cousins as a quarterback that he has a lot of respect for, which might be something to keep in mind as the Raiders enter the offseason as a strong candidate to make an aggressive move for quarterback. Well, I mean, look, you got Michael Mayer, you got Jacoby Myers, you got Davante Adams. You drop Kirk Cousins in there, and you're winning 11 or 12 games next year, I think. I believe that. I mean, that defense is very good. And if they can run it back with that defense, look out. I mean, the Raiders could be a very good team. And they're going to give the Chiefs and I guess maybe the Chargers and the Broncos. God, that's a murderer's row in that AFC West. Or could be. Because, look, the Broncos are going to be better next year, I think, under Sean Payton. So that's going to be a tough division. And Harbaugh is still the favorite to get that Chargers job. Look at this, guys. Marvin Lewis. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. When I saw this, my first thought, and I always think this, and I understand why they want to bring on former veteran assistant coaches. Tom Coughlin is helping out Antonio Pierce and has been helping out Antonio Pierce. Of course, he played for Coughlin. But Marvin Lewis is going to, it looks like, join this staff in some kind of capacity. Now, every time I see one of these longtime coaches, I'm like, well, if this thing crashes and burns, they've got the interim head coach already on the team. But I don't suspect that's going to happen. But I don't think Marvin Lewis ever thought he'd be without a job like this. I think he's wanted to coach. But I don't know if he'll ever get back in the league in that way. So, as NFL media notes, one coach expected to be with the Raiders in some capacity is Marvin Lewis. Pierce brought in Lewis to help him after he was named interim head coach, and now Lewis is expected to be on the staff in a more formal capacity going forward. Okay, I mean, Lewis and Coughlin both, I get it. That's a lot of combined NFL knowledge, old school NFL knowledge. I like that a lot. Lewis, who coached Pierce when he was playing in Washington, last held an NFL job title back in 2018 when he was still the head coach of the Bengals. Since then, he was at Arizona State. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. And co-defensive coordinator in 2020 before helping Pierce this past season in Vegas. While Lewis may be coming aboard in a more official capacity, the offensive side of the ball is likely to look a lot different, and it goes on to talk about getting rid of Hardegree, which we just talked about. But that's a pretty surprising name to hear that's going to be officially joining the staff. We don't know what his title's going to be. I can only guess that it's going to be as assistant coach, maybe even assistant head coach. You know, that title does exist on some teams. I wouldn't expect him to be, he's not going to be defensive coordinator unless Patrick Graham gets a job, and even then, I kind of doubt it. And I don't know what other role. Look, an old school guy like Marvin Lewis has been around forever. You don't want to name him necessarily like linebackers coach. He might be willing to do it. I don't know. But they would say, okay, linebackers coach / senior defensive assistant, associate head coach, something that also allows them to pay him a more respectable salary. That's part of that too. That's the same exact thing that the New Orleans Saints, or maybe even some other team, may be willing to do with John Gruden, right? Offensive coordinator sounds great. Assistant head coach sounds better, along with, offensive coordinator or whatever, right? A more respectable sounding position. Davante Adams' words on Josh McDaniels' offense are not very flattering, but I could have told you that. I knew that Josh McDaniels' system was very tough. And again, it's kind of odd that Mac Jones ran it so well. But there have been a lot of quarterbacks and a lot of wide receivers. Everybody remember Chad Ochocinco? He didn't last long on the Patriots. Why? He couldn't learn the offense. He couldn't figure the scheme out, literally. It was too complicated. I mean, he's got like one play. He can have one play, one pass play, and then like 7 extensions off of one play, and like 4 routes in a play, and then 4 extensions off of each route. I mean, it's pretty, and then, of course, all the verbiage that comes with that. Not very rookie quarterback friendly. And judging by how Jimmy Garoppolo was running it, Jimmy was missing Kyle Shanahan's system badly. I actually kind of expect that if Jimmy goes to a different team, or maybe, I guess, in theory, stays on this team and gets back in a more like, in other words, I think Garoppolo could get dropped, back with Kyle, but that's not going to happen. But he could get dropped back with Kevin O'Connell, Sean McVay. And as a starter, it wouldn't shock me. Somebody like Jimmy Garoppolo throws 28, 30 touchdowns. And everybody would think, well, Jimmy's washed. No, in the right offense, I don't think he is. I think Jimmy Garoppolo was miserable this year. He said he had fun, but I think he was, believe it or not, even with New England ties, I think he also was miserable under Josh McDaniels. I mean, who would have thought it? He got that job because of Josh. I don't think he was having a very good time. Tell me what you think. Peace. I'm out. Till next time.
Thanks for watching the show. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to tune in next time on Black and White Sports.